Good morning, dear students. Today is our first class in a virtual way, and today we have to work the quantifiers. Okay, students, to start our topic, it's very important that we remember what is the use of there is and there are in the countable nouns and uncountable nouns. With countable nouns, we can use there is and there isn't for the negative tenses, there are for the plural nouns, and there aren't in the negative tenses but with plural nouns. With uncountable nouns, you can use only there is. Don't use there are, don't use there aren't. In uncountable nouns, we can use there isn't in a negative form with any, but we have to remember that the uncountable nouns don't have plural nouns. Okay, some examples in the countable nouns, the use of there is, we can use with the countable nouns but in singular form, with there is and there isn't. For example, in the first example, there is an apple is a singular form. Apple is singular noun. An is the article for only one noun. And there is for singular. There isn't is a negative form. We can use any, and apple is singular too. But there are many apples. Many show us that there are 3, could be 4, 5, or another number of apples. There aren't any cookies is a tense negative, but in this case, cookies is plural. Okay? There are is for plural nouns in countable nouns. But in the case of uncountable nouns, we can use there is, a lot of, some, or any in the negative forms. These are some expression of quantifiers in the uncountable nouns. But we are going to remember and don't forget that in uncountable nouns, we can use only there is. Don't use there are or there aren't. Quantifiers. A quantifier is a word or phrase that we can use to indicate the amount of quantity on a noun. Some of them are many, some, a lot of, few, and there are some examples of quantifiers. For example, in the first one, some, we can use some for uncountable plural countable nouns in affirmative sentences and offers. The first one example is a tense in affirmative form. There is some orange juice. Some is an expression of quantifier. Orange juice is the noun, but the noun is uncountable. And the second example is would you like some water? Water is the noun uncountable, and would you like is the offer. In the next part, any is another quantifier, but any is used to uncountable plural countable nouns. And this expression we can use in question and negative sentences. For example, the first one, is there any orange juice in the refrigerator? The first one is a tense, but with, in this case, juice, orange juice is uncountable noun. But the second one is there aren't some fries on the table. Fries are countable noun. Aren't is the negative tense. Okay, now we continue with much. We use much for uncountable in question and negative sentences. Look at here this example. We don't have much money. Money is uncountable noun in English, but in Spanish could be countable, but in English is uncountable noun. Many is another quantifier word. We use many with plural countable nouns, but in this case we can use many in questions and negative sentences. The example shows us there aren't many books in the bookcase. Aren't is the expression for negative. Many books is the expression of quantifier, and books are the noun. Could be 10, 20, 15 books. We don't have the number of the books. After that, the use of much and many, but in question tenses, is very simple. Much is for uncountable nouns, and many is for countable nouns. How many and how much is at the beginning of the tense. After, we continue with a lot of or lots of. A lot of and a lots of are used with both plural, countable, and uncountable nouns. They are normally used in affirmative sentences. The of, the expression of the word of, is omitted when a lot or lots are followed by a noun. For example, in the first one, there are a lot or a lots of apples in the fridge. The second part, I like football a lot. We don't use of, okay? Pay attention to this recommendation to write some tenses with the quantifier a lot of or lots of. Okay, then a few. A few is another quantifier word. A few is used for plural countable nouns in affirmative sentences. Few describes the quantitative negative form, and a few describe it in a positive form. The example could be, there are a few magazines on the table. And a little, we use a little with plural uncountable nouns in affirmative sentences. The example, there is a little cheese on the table. In the first one example, magazines are plural, the plural noun. For example, in this example, there are a few magazines on the table. A few is used to plural countable nouns, and magazines are countable noun. And a little is used for plural uncountable nouns, and cheese is uncountable noun. Then little, few is a quantifier used with plural countable nouns without the article a. Few, only few, emphasize a small number of something, a small number of a noun. Adding the article removes the emphasis. A few means some. For example, this rule applies to little, and which is used with singular and countable nouns. We can use this as a curious note, but it's important to remember the use of few and a few. Now, dear students, is a lot of our practice. The practice is very simple. We are going to write this exercise in our notebooks and write a few, a little, much, or many. To complete these sentences, don't use some, any, or a lot of. It's very clear, the instruction. Don't use some, any, or a lot of. And that's all, dear students, for today. And it was a pleasure to be with you in this meal. And I hope that you are very well in your home with your family, and many blessings for you. Thanks.